Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Sarah. And here's her story. Hi, Ollie. I'm having a difficult time today. This past Sunday, my parents showed up to my house and ambushed me. They were demanding me to have a relationship with them, forget whatever has happened in the past, and just move on. A repeat of every single encounter we've ever had. When they showed up, my husband went to the car, put my son in, and started it up so that we could leave. When I tried to follow, my dad stood there in front of the car so that I couldn't shut it and we couldn't leave without running him over. You should have just called the cops at that point. Not said a word, just called the police and said, I want these people removed. You don't explain what they are. You don't explain anything about the situation. You say, I want these people off my property, period. During this time, during the argument, I told my mom that she is a narcissist and I cannot and will not have a relationship with one because I value myself too much to do that. She screamed at me saying I have my standards too high, that nobody is ever able to meet them. The truth is I could get rid of all the standards and she'd still fail to meet them. So what does it matter to her where I set my bar of standards to maintain my own happiness and peace? What she meant was that I have started defending myself from her, and she doesn't like having to fight so hard to knock me back down. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Now your standards are too high. All you asked of her is don't make fun of me. Don't minimize me. That's too high of standards. Anything is too high of standards. Anything that entails the narcissist not doing exactly as they want to do, your standards are too high. This is why you should have just called the police and not engaged it. As our hour-long argument escalated, I began calling her out on each narc tactic on cue. Some right before she did them. It pissed her off, and she said, oh, what are you, Miss Therapist now? There's the gaslight. And said, well, if I am a narcissist, then so are you. You think you're so perfect and don't tell lies. So there it is. She admits. She admits who she is. I tell lies, so are you, so do you. There it is. There it is. There's the narcissist projection. Right there. There's the narcissist telling you exactly how they think. Well, I tell lies. Everybody must tell lies because I do. No. No, bitch. No, it's just you. I started to laugh and said, perfect. No, how could I have been raised by you? But as far as who's the liar here, you are the only liar standing here today. Then she started to fake cry. I called her out and told her not to start with her fake crocodile tears, which sent her into a rage. It was actually quite funny in the moment. I asked my parents multiple times why they are bothering me and what it is they exactly wanted from me. That's what I asked, and they can never answer that question because they don't want anything other than for you to fall in line. My mom screaming at me, we just want a relationship with you. We love you. In a very confrontational way, with her eyes gleaming at me with jealousy and hate. I told her to stop looking at me that way, and if her looks were to be interpreted, she was looking at me, eyes squinted, piercing into my soul as if she wanted to murder me. If only she knew how to get away with it. My dad looked over at her when I said this, and like magic, her eyes went back to normal. As normal as a narc eyes can get. My father sometimes had that ability to shoot up Laura momentarily because, drunk. He's so outwardly crazy. It doesn't really matter. If only she knew how to get away with it. And that's really what it is. If they only knew how to get away with it. I wanted to give her a Grammy for her act in front of my dad. It was good for an idiot as the audience, but knowing what I know, I could see it all. She then brought up my kid's dad and how I was able to forgive him for the past, and if I can forgive him, then I should forgive my parents. I asked her, what in the hell does that have to do with this conversation? I told her she's clearly envious and bitter that he's actively involved in my daughter's lives and that she felt the need to bring him up, which she denied, but also brought him up 3 times afterwards. Towards the end of the argument, I told my dad that as the man of the household, he should have put a stop to this in the very beginning, but he has vehemently allowed my mother to rip our family apart. His response was, Satan has been busy and has divided our family, but we have to allow God's love and grace to repair it. Remember, the religious narcissist is really an atheist. When they talk about God, they're talking about themselves. They don't believe in God, because if they did, how are they going to explain to God when they got to go account for their lives this shit? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. When you look at this logically, how does any of that, because at the end of the day, it's all about going to heaven, right? It's all about the end of their lives. All of this, that's what it's for. And you're supposed to stand there and give an accounting for your life. But God knows what your thoughts are. So how do you do this and be religious? You're not really religious. You're just using it as a crutch, as a tool. You don't believe in God. They're atheists. When they're talking about God, they're talking about themselves. God's love and grace to repair it. Their love and grace. His love and grace. His love and grace. I stopped him and said, enough with the bullshit. Because if he wants to use God and religion as he always does, then we have to allow God to fix us. Then it goes both ways. As the head of his household, he has allowed Satan to rip his family apart. That's true. God gave us free will. Satan can't make you do anything you don't freely choose to do yourself. The subject changed after that, of course. I told him how my mother has pitted me and my siblings against each other and gave examples of how she would talk shit about them to me. She yells, "Oh my God, Sarah, it was just a conversation. So now I can't even talk to you?" I said, no, not in that manner. It's unacceptable. And they know it's not just a conversation. All this is your mother spilling on herself. Can't even help it. My mom yelled multiple times that she loved me. I said, oh, just like the last time you came over to tell me you love me, then leaned in for a hug and whispered in my ear, even though I don't agree with your life or your choices. My dad looked over at her and screamed, I never said that. I said, okay, you want to deny it in front of Dad? Okay, that's fine. You need to maintain your appearance. But that comment was exactly what started the fight that day. She said we never fought. Then I looked at my dad with my hand out, like, really? And you have the audacity to believe a word that comes out of her mouth now. You were there, you saw us fighting. He said, well, I knew you were upset, but I wouldn't say it was a fight. It ended right there. I told them they both rewrite history in an attempt to get what they want. I told them that they got what they came for, their narcissistic supply, so they should be good to leave now. And that's exactly what they got. Their narcissistic supply. Because as long as you're fighting, they're winning. When you get to the point where you're at the point with your father, where you're like, How do you believe this? Because obviously it's something. You know he knows the truth. He knows you know the truth. You know he knows you know the truth. And he'll still deny it. That's your moment of realization. It was like, doesn't matter what I say. You could have had it all videotaped, signed, witnessed by God. Still wouldn't be good enough. Well, that's not how I interpreted it. It's never good enough. That's why you should have just called the police the second they stood in front of your car. Because the second you got out and argued with them, you're letting them control you at that point. They wanted that fight, and you gave them what they wanted. Well, the following morning, my mom started posting Google images of narcissist quotes and screenshot her Google searches that said, how to cut ties with someone who's always claiming the victim. She also made a post about people who claim to be a victim of narc abuse is really a narc themselves and are the abusive ones. My dad then called saying he wanted to come over that night and start seeing me more. I told him absolutely not. I told him his wife hates me and I refuse to be subjected to her abuse any longer. And also what they're doing. Okay? When the problem is, when you lay this out for them, like what happens on Facebook and a lot of these other groups, they're havens for narcissists. It's what my borderline monsters, not victims, is about. It's about the narcissist being able to now take the condition and then use it against us. This is why you don't engage it. He was adamant about her loving me and wanting a relationship with me because he sees her tears at night. Cry me a fucking river. I told him all he does is justify every action for her. And you know what? You always hear about the narcissist's great emotion for you and love for you when you're not around. I always had to hear how so-and-so was so upset. And this one, and how they, get the fuck out of here. Really? Then why haven't I witnessed it myself? Because it's bullshit. Bullshit lies of the fucking enabler. Bullshit lies of the covert narcissist. And that's what your father is. The covert narcissist hiding behind the borderline. I told him all he does is justify every action for her. I said, watch, I'll prove it. I told him about the time my mom told my cousin that she was her dream child because she loved softball and neither of her daughters did, and how life wasn't fair that she ended up with me. My dad said, well, you just interpreted it all wrong. She meant that she wanted you to play something she loved. I said, see, thanks. Thanks for proving my point that you just justify everything she says or does. Then I said, if she so badly wants a relationship, then why does she post all this shit on Facebook for? He said she's never on Facebook. And that's just it. As soon as you tell them something that she never does that, what's the point? Because then you got to sit there and argue stuff that is so plainly fact. You're just wasting mental energy that needs to be used in keeping yourself no contact. This isn't a campaign of aggravation and distance. They're just trying to wear you down, and you keep engaging it. He said she's never on Facebook. I laughed and said, yep, Like I told you before, your wife lives a completely different life you either know nothing of or choose to ignore. I'm going with both. Then I told him about her posts about me and Googling how to cut ties with people always crying victim. Then he said, oh, you two just need to stop. See, and there he is. He's trying to be above it. And like, you don't get to be above this, motherfucker. You're right in the middle of it. You two. Don't make it you two. I said, no, us two, nothing. You will not group me in with her. I mind my own business, and it's you two who come for me. Then just yesterday, my kid shows me some comments on Instagram of my ex-husband talking about how he's taking me to court for more visitation other than the days he already gets. And my mom replied, yesterday, Sarah told us you only get her 3 days a month. Somebody is lying. I screenshot it and sent it to my dad and said, this is exactly what I'm talking about with her. Always stirring the shit pot to get shit started. Then I told him I will never have a relationship with either of them if they attempt to bully me into one again, that I will be calling the police, and if they even contact my daughters, I will file harassment charges. He never responded. But ever since Sunday, I've been sick. This not only affects me emotionally or mentally, but physically now. When they stress me out, it feels like I have 100-pound weights on each of my shoulders. And my chest feels really tight, as if it's about to explode. And it feels like needles stabbing my lungs. My throat is sore, my head hurts. I know I have to cut them out for good. I am moving next month, and I'm beyond excited to start a fresh life, drama-free. They too know I am moving. They just aren't sure when exactly, but I'm sure they know it's soon since school is out now, which is exactly what I was waiting for. So I am well aware this will likely get much worse before I'm able to move. Thanks as always, Ollie. Sarah. Is Sarah, you need to make sure you move and move quick, because this is just going to keep escalating. This is why you don't engage, because now she's pissed. You engaged. You gave her something about your ex-husband, and lo and behold, all of a sudden now he's trying to get more visitation, and she's posting on his timeline. The enemy of my enemy is always the narcissist. Is always the narcissist friend. Always the narcissist friend. Your enemy will always end up being the narcissist friend. It's the way it is. The only way you win is not to play with these people. The second he stood in front of your car, should have just called the cops and sat there with the doors locked. Not moved, not said anything. Let them deal with that. Let them know that you're serious. Second, and even though you did well in the exchange, you still gave them what they wanted, the argument, and you're still fighting with your father, back and forth, trying to prove something he already knows. It doesn't matter how much evidence you have, Sarah. Like I said, you can have videotape from God. God could have videotaped it himself, signed off on it, presented witness down there with three apostles and Jesus himself. It's still, everybody's just misinterpreting. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what proof you have with the narcissist. It's no contact and don't look back. Don't engage it. Don't let them, the second you got out of that car to argue, you let him control it all. Say, haha, I can still make you talk to me. Never again. Never again. So make sure your bases are covered. Make sure you're moving quick. You said you're on the trying to move. Make sure you move quick and make sure that they don't know where you're going. So thank you again for your contribution. Thank you for your story. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, or you'd like to set up a Skype chat, have a private phone call, private video made, Facebook chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video for someone else or just contribute to the channel, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. And if you're still unclear, wait for the final video link to pop up to my instructional video to walk you through all that. Please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance. See you soon.